Welcome to the Daily Message. Today we celebrate the feast of St. Francis Xavier, whose image you see on the screen. St. Francis was one of the first of the Jesuits, the Society of Jesus. He was an educated man, having studied at the University of Paris, where he befriended the founder of the Jesuits, St. Ignatius of Loyola. And it was Ignatius who convinced him that he should join the Jesuits. He was ordained a priest in 1537, and then he went to Lisbon in Portugal, and there actually was someone else, one of the other Jesuits, who was scheduled to go on mission to India, but that man fell sick, and Ignatius asked Francis to make the trip in his stead, knowing that he had to leave in a matter of days. Francis's missionary spirit showed itself completely because he immediately said that, yes, he would change everything about his life, get on that ship and go to India, never to return to his home in Europe. And that's what he did. And he went to India. For 10 years. He brought the faith to all different kinds of peoples, Hindus and Malayans and Japanese people. And wherever he went, he lived with the poorest. He shared their food. He shared their accommodations. He ministered day in and day out to the sick and to the poor, and particularly to lepers. It is said that very often he had little time or no time for sleep. Xavier, after that, went through the islands of Malaysia and then up to Japan. And he learned enough Japanese to preach to the people there, to instruct them, to baptize them, and to establish missions for those who were to follow him and to follow Christ. He eventually had a dream of going to China, but he died before he was able to make that part of his mission journey. One other point about Francis Xavier that I think is noteworthy, if you look at the image, you'll notice that his vestments have kind of the hint of Japanese garb. And that's because Francis Xavier and the Jesuits in general accommodated themselves, acculturated themselves to the people with whom they lived and worked. And so there's something to be said about that for us, that we have to be able to adapt the message of Jesus to those to whom we witness. And so we can look at the example of St. Francis Xavier and see someone who was willing to follow Christ no matter what, and was willing to do whatever needed to be done in order to see that the message of Christ was brought to the world. Thank you so much for watching today.